Second Cup is brought to you by Roswell Park Comprehensive Care Center.
Good morning. Happy Thursday. Friday, Junior. We are almost there. Oh, a long week.
Long week is right. Holy cow. Good morning, holy cow. Okay, so this morning we had this story that Maki Becker did. It was a really good story.
It was a wonderful story.
About Springfield Griffith students who are getting
Farm to table.
Yeah, farm to cafeteria, really. Meat from a local farmer, making their burgers. So their lunch is this cow named
Mr. Bojangles.
Bojangles. And it was so sad because Mr. Bojangles is a good-looking cow.
He's a big old cow, and I'm sure he was delicious. So you're watching the students just chow down on this burger, and then you see a picture of the poor cow. And you're like, well,
Not Mr. Bojangles.
so he keeps going, holy cow.
And
Sure is.
That's what I was saying. So funny. Glad you're all with us to start the day. Peter says, Taylor, loving the green. Very springy.
Thank you.
do.
Trying.
I love green.
After all the rain, I feel like we've been getting
Oh my
all this
God.
week. The trees and the grass have been just like flourishing.
Enough is enough with this rain.
I know, it's been a
lot. So hopefully things change next week, though Aaron is suggesting that we might have a rainy Saturday, which kind of sucks because, I don't know, Porch Fest is on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much going on. It's the time of the year where there's something every weekend.
Yeah.
There's something to do. People want to hang out. People want to go outside. You got birthdays, celebrations, and then that rain just puts a damper on things.
Anita says, wait until you get your first knee replacement. Talk about a long week, girl.
Yeah.
We're pulling for you.
You got it, though. You're stronger than the storm.
Diane. Oh, Diane is spamming us, Peter. Be careful. Don't click that link. You never know what's going to happen. Can we pull up Diana's comment really quick? Oh, okay, good.
Oh, it's good.
We're deleting Diana. Bye,
Ay.
Diana. Mark's going to be in Baltimore for the Preakness on Saturday. Oh, that's pretty
Weakness.
cool. She got it. Yeah, that's right, Anita. Okay, so as you're waking up this morning, a couple things we want to talk about. Number one, the Bills' schedule, because there are a lot of primetime games, including the home opener against the Ravens, which I am pissed about.
Are you?
Yes. Because you want to go to the home opener.
You don't want to go because it's Sunday night.
And right, at 8:20. So what does that mean? You got to take the next
That
day
means,
off.
yeah, you're taking off on that Monday.
It'll be fine.
All right, here's the schedule here. First week against Baltimore. We know that Baltimore's a good team, but we beat them in the playoffs last year, so hopefully... And week one's always a weird one, right? Because you don't
Yeah.
really know where everybody stands. Everything changes in the offseason.
It's like the first day of school.
Right, so it's like, who's going to show up? Who am I going to sit next to at lunch? I don't really know what's going on. So I'm a little wary about week one, but Sunday Night Football to start just shows that the Bills are must-see TV. Everyone wants to watch them, so that first game on Sunday Night Football is going to be one that you have to watch or go see. Week two, a little boring. And
win
then
that one.
back at home, squish the fish,
We'll
super
win that one,
easy.
too.
Week number 4, a 1 p.m. game on a Sunday.
Here for it.
People love 1 p.m. games on Sunday, so maybe the Saints one's good to see. I don't know who the heck is on the Saints this year, so I don't know if you're going to be seeing anybody. The opposing team super interesting. And then the next primetime game is going to be another Sunday Night Football game where we match up with Stephon Diggs, who's now on the Patriots. Cardi B's boo thing.
Can we talk about that for a hot second?
We
Like,
sure
where did
can.
that come from?
Okay, so like I saw them courtside at the Knicks game earlier this week.
They're like
And
really into each other.
so, like, what's so interesting to me, because obviously we covered Stephon Diggs and we talked about him so much, and he was such a big story here. And then we all know Cardi B. So I don't know. They just exist in two different universes to me. So to see them together, and at first I was like, okay, it's a rumor. You know, we don't know if they're together. And they were courtside together, looking all lovey-dovey. I'm like,
kinda
is
here
this
for it.
real? They look good together.
I know.
They look really good together. They're kind of cute. I just, in my mind, I was like, wait a minute. Like, these two together, I can't believe they exist
like
in the
arm
same.
around her shoulder.
Oh, like, yeah, look at that.
Like, look at how in love she looks.
Look
I
at
mean,
Belle
I don't know.
Khalees. That's Cardi B's real name.
Khalees?
Belle Khalees.
Belle Khalees, right.
Almanazar.
Um,
But no, there's some other clips of him like giving her a kiss on the cheek. They're like really close courtside watching the Knicks. Interesting.
do we love this or do we hate it?
I don't know. So do we think that Cardi B is going to be at
new
the
Taylor
game?
Swift?
Well, do you think she's going to come to the game?
I
Is she
don't
going to
know.
become like a wag? Is that game's here?
I believe so.
Okay, imagine like Cardi B's at Highmark.
That would be kind of cool. I'd watch.
I'm into it. I'm into it.
Do we even care? Howard says, I know. I'm just putting it out there.
Julie
Sarah
says
says I
she's
love it. So there's a 50-50 split here, Howard.
Right? It's just a juicy gossip, just the tea.
Peter says, I'm with that. I may use PTO days after primetime games. I know it's really hard.
5
if
this
you're-
year.
Yeah, if you're up early like we are on a Monday morning after, a primetime game, you're feeling it. To say
Oh my
the
gosh,
least.
yeah. It's a guaranteed Monday off.
Mhm.
And I feel like Monday, I mean, as long as it's a victory Monday, everyone's kind of in a really chill, easygoing
Yeah,
mood,
sure.
so nothing too crazy. Can you pull the schedule back up? Who's after Stephon Diggs?
The Jets. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's the next. So 2 back-to-back Monday Night Football in Atlanta. Sure, okay. Then the bye week. Then
Panthers.
another 1 p.m. Sunday game, but it's at Carolina. And then back at home, and that's when Taylor Swift comes into the conversation, and Patty Mahomes, Travis Kelce have to come back to Highmark. I prefer playing the Chiefs here.
Me too. Do we think this is going to be Travis Kelce's last season?
I hope so.
Why?
I'm kind of over it. I don't really want the storyline to continue. We had fun. I mean, in football years, he's
He's
kind
old.
of up there.
Yeah. He's in
Um,
his 30s.
He didn't have his best season. I know because I had him in my fantasy league last year. So, I mean, you would think, his brother just retired. He's in a committed relationship. Maybe it's time for that next phase of his
next
life.
ring.
He's 35. He's definitely got a couple good years on him, but he's a tight end. He's running around and like hitting people for a long time. So we'll see how that goes. Then in Miami, then home against Tampa Bay. Sure. Then the furthest trip the Bills have is to
Houston, right?
Houston. That's Thursday Night Football. The last primetime game of the season is week 12. And then in Pittsburgh, and then home against Joe Burrow. And the
You see
Did
that?
you see
That
it?
was
It like
gross.
tried to attack me.
Kelsey, I hate that 35 is senior.
Only in football years. Only in football years. 35 is far from senior off of the field. Don't worry, Kelsey.
Cindy also says, I totally dislike the late game because of the late night on Sunday.
Well, how do we feel about a 425? Because I feel
Okay.
like 425 has been our kind of sweet spot lately. There are a couple of them, especially, like the Pittsburgh game, the Bengals game, that Eagles game. We got a couple 425s.
I don't love them. I don't hate them. I like
What
them
time
better
are
than
they?
the 820, to be honest with you. I'd
They're
rather-
done around like 8. You probably
Yeah.
get home around like 9.
Right.
Too late for you, but
Yeah. Still need a day off on Monday.
Yeah.
You just,
I feel like for us, the 425 is the worst.
right?
I feel like the 425 is worse than the night games because at the very least you can rest up throughout the day if you're going to watch the night game. 425, you're screwed.
because you're going to
also-
watch the whole game. I think you can also quit during Sunday Night Football. If you're going to want to get up, you can just go, okay, halftime, I'm going to bed. 425, you're going to stay up. You're going to watch the whole thing.
Sarah, though, I agree. Waiting all day for football is nerve-wracking.
Oh my gosh, yeah. But I
Right?
love it. It's a good kind of nerves, though. It's
Yeah.
like that good anxiety. It's like,
But
okay, get me to game.
It's like working at night. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
you're waiting all day to go to work kind of thing.
Oh, yeah, kind of.
I don't know. It's
Well,
a
'cause
different
it-
kind of work.
Yeah, there's a lot of stress.
A lot of emotions going on.
John, just think 16 weeks and they start playing. It feels so far away.
Right? Kind of is. My
Yeah.
mom says, why don't they play Kansas City once? Or they are playing Kansas City once.
Yeah.
They're here, but, only once.
Right.
Lori says they're trying to give Josh all the exposure they can.
More
God,
prime
he's the
time.
MVP, right? I mean, everyone wants to see him. Anita says, I'd like to see a Bills Steelers game, and that's coming up.
Yeah, that's at Pittsburgh. It was like one of those weeks in the middle. I think that was one of the 425
Mhm.
games. Yes, that's a 425 week 13. And then the last couple of weeks are interesting because we have Cleveland, which I'm assuming is going to be an easy game. That's in Cleveland. That's another 1 o'clock game. And then we host the Super Bowl champs.
Didn't Shadur get drafted to the Cleveland Browns?
He sure did.
So that'll be interesting to see what happens with him.
If he ends up being the quarterback, they have like 5
Exactly.
quarterbacks right now. They got Joe Flacco, a couple other guys. They drafted a whole nother quarterback before they drafted Shadur. So that's going to be an interesting competition there. But I am scared about the Super Bowl champs coming to town. But it'll be week 17. So
That'll be good.
we'll see how that goes.
Michael says, y'all shouldn't complain. I have to wake up at 3 a.m. to watch here. He's in Australia, so we're so international this morning. Glad you're with us, Michael.
Oh my gosh.
Lori-
What time is it now?
That's probably, I don't know, probably later in the day. Lori, looking forward to training camp. Jeanette, I love talking about the season, but I hate how we skip over our summer vibes every year. Looking forward to it. I actually kind of agree with
I
you.
agree. Never rush the summer. After the winter that we had that felt so long, that
Right.
extended into spring, I love to enjoy every moment that we have before we get to that like chilly fall weather, that September, October. Let's
like the mum
enjoy.
season. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, none of that. No pumpkins, no apples. We are just going to enjoy the summer while we
Yeah.
have it. And then we still got training camp. That's always a lot of fun for the players I know, going to St. John Fisher. So let's just wait. Let's enjoy.
So
It's
what
nighttime for him, by the way.
Melly says Super Bowl bound, and Michael says it's 10:10 right now.
10 p.m.
Yikes.
Wild.
Okay, the other thing I want to talk about this morning is really a pressing issue in the Buffalo Public School system. This is the largest school system in all of Western New York, and they also have a pretty mega-sized problem that they're facing right now. Primarily the fact that a Buffalo police detective is coming out and saying the Buffalo Public School system is covering up abuse allegations of its own students inside its schools and not assisting police in the investigation.
So this was something that we talked about a bunch, right? It came out, those allegations on the podcast. Special Victims Unit Detective Richard High really was the one who broke this and went out on that podcast.
On
and
a
said-
limb, really.
Right, and said, look, these things are happening, and kind of rang the alarm for people. And then, everyone's eyes are now on the Buffalo Public School District. Everyone is looking at them to do something. And they acted pretty quickly at first, and they said, okay, we're going to have a meeting, and we're going to talk about this. After that meeting, they were like, okay, we're going to do an external investigation. That was 2 weeks ago. They have another meeting last night. They're in executive session, meaning behind closed doors for hours, and then they come out and say, no investigation just yet.
So what they're saying is they are now expanding the scope, looking for these third-party companies to apply basically to win the contract to do this external investigation. But what that means is that they haven't yet started this external investigation, despite the fact that this all came out 2 weeks ago.
It's been 2 weeks. I need to know what's been going on in those past 2 weeks.
So does Melly. It's disgusting, she says. They need to see what's truly going on here, and that BPS needs to get this started. Linda says the longer BPS takes, the worse they look.
And then when we played the soundbite from the end of the meeting, and they basically said the plan is now to hire an investigator. We'll see who wants to come investigate this.
Right.
And no further comment. So what?
Carmen, good morning to you. This is terrible. Why so many delays? School will be out before there's a solution. That's a
Possibly.
great point. I mean, we are weeks away from the end of the school year. James says, this is horrifying. Is the abuse, do we know, from faculty to students, or is it abuse to students to students? From what we've heard, it was like, in this one case at least in particular, where High comes out on this podcast, and, again, kudos to him for blowing the whistle on this. He says it's student on student, and in one case, and then there was another case where a guy got into the Buffalo Science Magnet School and tried to kidnap 2 students and then assaulted an assistant principal, I believe.
Right. So then, that there's been a second charge added there. But then in the other case where it was student on student, there was also an issue about reporting it. So that's the allegations really are about a cover up, that there are issues that are going on that we don't know about. And obviously these are really sensitive issues because we're talking about children. So who knows what we'll end up finding out and what information we'll actually get. But it does seem like there is information to be uncovered here, and who knows when we'll actually hear about it.
Jeanette says it's been so long. Why haven't the students been speaking up too? Am I missing something? So there, from what High is saying, the students have come forward. The students were talking about this, and the students reported it. But what he
To the
says,
district.
right, to the district, to mandated reporters. But what he says is that these district officials were told not to call the police and not to report this. So, you've got his allegations out there, and, with his credence as a SVU detective, and his credentials. But the school district is saying, okay, we're going to do an external investigation to see what's actually going on here. But they're yet to even hire the firm to do that external investigation.
There are allegations that video was deleted, evidence in the case of the alleged attempted kidnapping. So where is this information? Where are these videos? What's going on?
Melly says there are staff members removed from my son's school with no reasoning. Let's talk, girl. Let's figure out who these people are and what's actually going on here. I'd be interested to find out, obviously, if it's related or if it's not related, what's going on here.
The point that this might not even be close to resolved before kids even get out of school next month, that's a really interesting point. I mean, we're approaching the end of the school year. Parents are still sending their kids on the bus or taking them to school every day. And possibly this question is just lingering in the back of their mind. Is there something that I don't know about going on in these schools?
Carmen says there should also be a gate blocking that connection, talking about the Science Magnet School
100%.
and the Science Museum. And apparently there isn't anything stopping somebody from getting in, but the connection is there. Why is that area open to get in, Carmen says. Denise, I don't like when my child doesn't understand her homework and I don't understand it. She's going back into school and her teacher yells at her. I don't know that I understand what you're trying to say, Denise.
I think she's just saying that she's not really liking how the teachers are handling that kind of situation either.
Interesting. Rachel says they're just trying to cover things up, talking about the school board at this point. Superintendent Dr. Tanja Williams-Knight has literal weeks left on her contract, too. She's retiring at the end of this school year. So,
they'll have a new leader.
Who's going to take this on now?
Right.
Jeanette, this is probably the plan. Let the summertime cover up what wasn't taken care of now.
I mean, as parents, what do you think about, how does this change your opinion about the district and about next school year? I just have so many questions. I mean,
Melly's a Buffalo school parent, so I wonder, Melly, what's your perception on this?
What's your take?
There are a lot of parents, and my concern was initially about the alarm, because it came out on a podcast and, again, this is something that the detective felt really comfortable going and talking about because he knows, from his position, what might be going on behind the scenes, but it, comes out on a podcast and, you want to make sure that, we're getting all the facts, we're getting all of the information to make sure that, you have all of the information to make an informed decision here.
Right.
So we're doing some research behind the scenes. We're talking to sources. We're doing our own thing to try and figure out what exactly is the deal. But, when you see this, that it still hasn't started.
Yeah. What's taking so long, I think, is the question right now. What more do they need? And why do they have to expand the search? Was the current search, were they getting no's from the external investigators?
Are there conflicts of interest? And that's the thing, executive session is really difficult to deal with because nothing is on the record, number one.
Right.
And number two, it's only for the school board to be part of. So the media is not allowed in, normal people who are
Parents.
observers aren't allowed in, and you're kind of just on the outside hanging on this benign statement issued by the Buffalo School District that basically said, we're expanding the scope to do this external investigation, no further comment. That came from the president yesterday, but, on one hand, maybe they're legally not allowed to say something, but on the other hand, with parents out there wondering what's going on about their child's safety, you would expect somebody to be able to say, we're going to deal with this,
Right.
and that it should have been done a lot sooner.
Yeah, something strong that says, hey, we are taking care of your kids. We're doing everything we can to get to the bottom of this. We really can't say much more, but trust that we're working on it.
Melly, I don't know who this Michael guy is, but just be weary. Carmen says too much went wrong, especially deleting the video. Speed up the process. Children's lives are an important factor. And that's what High was claiming as well, that, in some cases in that Science Magnet School, when there was that attempted kidnapping of 2 children, that video was actually deleted. Interesting.
Sherry, when the school is guilty, nothing is filed. We'll have to see what happens in this next meeting. So the next school board meeting is Wednesday. And then they're expected to vote on a potential investigation firm. And then the investigation begins. And then we're going on a month.
Julie says they're expanding the amount of our tax dollars that are falling into their pockets. You want them to do the best job that they can. And if that means that they're trying to do their due diligence in finding a good firm to do this investigation, you'd probably say, okay, that's great.
Yeah.
But come out and say that. Don't
Right.
leave it open to speculation or insinuation.
Mm-hmm.
You want the facts here in this kind of a case. So time will tell. That meeting is set for next Wednesday. And
We'll have to see.
yeah, time will tell. How about this one? Let's try this one on for size. How do you like free money?
Free money sounds great. You might be getting some free money come fall, depending on how much you make, how you filed your taxes in 2023. It'll change the amount that you would get, but 585,000 Western New Yorkers are going to be getting a check in the mail from Kathy Hochul.
Okay, so this will be a little bit varied in terms of amount and who's getting what. Love, 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 Carmen says. Melly says, free money, say what? Yeah. What's the catch?
Good question, Barbara.
Well, right. Here's the thing. Hochul says this will help New Yorkers, Western New Yorkers, especially around the time of back to school. So if it's going to be food on the table or clothing for your children, school supplies, Melly says, what's it going to be? Another Hochul BS check? Lori says, free money for your vote. Melly says, my last check from her was $26. Then she says GTFOH,
So
which
Sarah makes, well, yes.
is an acronym.
Sarah makes a good point here. So the total that you're going to get in the mail, that check is going to change based on how much you made and how much you filed in your taxes. So $400 for a family is not much, is what Sarah says. So there is a chance that you could get $400, but let's say you have a family of 4. How do you split that up? I mean,
$100 each.
right. Here's a pair of shoes for you.
Right.
Here's, a backpack and some school supplies for you. And then
I don't know.
honestly, if you need like
a night out for mom and
a
dad.
TI-84 is probably more than like,
Seriously, do they even
around that
still
price.
use those anymore?
They gotta use graphing calculators, right?
Peter says free money equals work the Buffalo Board of Education. Not really sure what you're trying to say there, though. I do appreciate you weighing in so that we could share your voice. Mark says we're all still paying for it. It's our taxes paying for you.
She says it's all about inflation, right? So the inflation and how you have to spend more money over the past couple of years. She's trying to put that back in your pocket. But
Hey, do we have that graphic? No. Okay.
we have like the split. I can put, but I think the lowest amount is $150.
It is.
That's if you made over. So for a single
75.
person, if you are a single person, you file your taxes by yourself, and if you make over $75,000, then you get $150. If you made under $75,000, you get $200. And then if you're filing together, if you're doing, you and your partner are filing taxes together. If you made, what was the range?
Can you zoom in here just a little bit? Thank you.
150.
So joint tax filers with income up to $150,000. So, 2 people making about 150 grand or less will get $400. Joint tax filers, 2 people filing, making over 150 grand, but less than 300 grand will get a $300 check. If you are single and you filed and make up to 75 grand, you'll get $200. If you're single and filed and make over 75 grand, but but up to 150 grand, you'll get a $150 check. So, okay, right. When you look at it in the grand scheme of things, it's really not that much money. But when you consider how 500,000 Western New Yorkers will benefit from that, I mean, that's a lot of state taxpayer dollars that are being given out and in a sense returned, but
Yeah, well, people aren't buying it here. Lynn calls it a joke. She says, and a lot of people are saying it's about buying votes. Noreen says she's always trying to buy votes. It's our money anyways. Michael is saying BS tactics used by politicians worldwide to buy your vote back with your own money. And Mark says, I'll believe it when I see it. Talking about the checks there. But I'm trying to think, will that make a dent for people? If you think about how much more you've been spending, obviously free money is not a bad thing. People are going to be happy to get a check in the mail, but will it make a difference? I think, maybe it'll change your life for a day or
second,
two.
right.
You go out, you go shopping that one weekend, and then you're just back to, pinching pennies and trying to cut things out of the budget a week later.
So what do? Invest that money, take that $400
Invest it in what?
in the stock market, I guess, like buy low, buy the dip, and then hope that $400.
Better on black. Go to the blackjack table.
It's better than nothing, Linda says. Danielle
true.
says that's a few bag of groceries. Doesn't make much of a difference. Denise says, what about the veterans? My dad is 81 years old and he can't afford to
my
retire.
gosh.
He's still working.
Yeah, that's the kind of people you think about when you talk
Yeah.
about, it's all about affordability in this budget and everything she said is trying to put more dollars in our pocket. But when you talk about someone who's still got to work at 81, it's a veteran, what what's being done for him. And, maybe we can go through the budget and find some other things and some things that can benefit him. But I think that's the question. Is that money going to help out for someone like that?
Mark said it's just like COVID cash. Right. So, and then I do wonder, to Melly's point, is this going to be taxed again? So are you getting a $200 check, or are you getting, as she says, $30?
I don't think it's taxed.
I can't imagine it would be,
I
right?
don't think so. Tax, I can't imagine.
But also interesting that, people who, there is no age limit, but you can't be a dependent. Like, you can't be claimed as a dependent.
Right.
So if you've got kids, like, your kids aren't getting a check.
Right.
But mom and dad might be.
If you have a college kid and you're no longer claiming them.
Right. Different story.
Right.
John says they raised our assessment a lot. That's where the money is coming from. Julie says, I'm so good at pinching pennies. I'll be okay. Surviving is my skill.
Yeah, we've adapted so much, right? When prices go up, we're like, it's been how long since we've been trying to save money?
Well, and then we're hearing from experts that higher prices could realistically be around the corner, and though, even higher than what we're paying right now.
Especially if you have kids.
Right. And, all of that because of tariffs, because of inflation. And, so much is changing in the economy on a daily basis, it feels like. So, everyone's kind of waiting on the edge of their seats for more information and to figure out how much of their budget is going to be blown on certain things, as compared to others.
We'll have to see.
I just want to go back to the 514 documentary that we had from yesterday. A heavy day yesterday, and I think that we dedicated a good amount of time to talking about it. And I think that we need to talk about it all the time. I don't think this is a one and done kind of thing. I think that we, every day need to remember the 10 people who have been lost, senselessly murdered. But a perspective that you perhaps don't necessarily hear all the time is from the people who are on the ground, and really giving you the visuals as to what was happening on that day. So 3 years later, so many of us have come together to share our stories about how the day unfolded, giving you kind of a behind-the-scenes look at what went on May 14th, 2022.
We just talked about when we came in this morning, it was tough to sleep last night. It's tough to sleep on the 13th. It's just heavy. I had to distract myself when I came home from work because you just wind up thinking about it all day. I watched the ceremony, and you take that moment of silence. You hear them ring out that bell 10 times in honor of the 10 people we lost. And it's something that sticks with you. And until we made this video, I don't think that I had really gone through those emotions. This was really therapeutic for me. I know it was therapeutic for, a lot of the people who played a role in the video and who were part of the coverage. Sherry, thank you for saying it was beautiful. Mark says, and it was an amazing video. Even if you just watch the first 5 minutes, it's really powerful. It's really impactful. And shout out to DJ for putting the work he did into it in a really short amount of time and turned it around. And it was, I'm just grateful that we were able to do that and give that different perspective.
Mark says you said it from your heart.
Thank you, Mark. It was tough to do. But I think really needed. And you know what? Maybe it gives you perspective that you weren't seeing up until now. And it's been 3 years. And you were talking about yesterday when you were out there, we were seeing fewer people out there.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
When I was there at noon, it was really busy, and that was encouraging. But it's not going to be busy today. It's not going to be busy next Wednesday. So how do we keep that energy, and how do we keep that positive focus on the east side and move forward? I think those are really valid questions and something we have to think about, because I don't want to, 5-6 years on May 14th and the next couple of years not be talking about it. Or
no,
not
we've
be
got to talk about it for
reflecting
sure.
or not be out there.
Yeah.
So we'll have to keep following it and, keep them in our hearts.
Make sure you watch that documentary. John dropped a link in the comments here so you can watch at your own leisure. It's a really interesting perspective. And I just want to make sure that we are addressing the other comments here in the chat here. Welcome to Redneckistan. Good morning to you. So happy to share your voice this morning. When are we going to hear about Buffalo Public Schools? Welcome to Redneckistan. You missed the conversation. If you go back and
just a little
scroll,
bit.
you'll hear about it.
Towards the middle of the show.
Same thing with large prime numbers.
Yep. If you scroll back, you'll find it.
Large prime numbers, those are difficult for me.
Math is tough.
Yeah, difficult. The math ain't mathin'. Anyway, thanks so much for being with us here on a Thursday. We appreciate you as always. Glad to share your voice on all sides. Have a great day.